been slapped by polygamy.
Oh.
It's hard not to be bitter about the fact that I bought off on it and did it, because in the end, in the last moments of it, it felt terrible.
Hello everyone, it is amazing to catch up with you all on my channel again. As of now, it is Friday, May 2nd, 2025. In the most recent episode of Sister Wives, Cody Brown sat down with Robyn and they spoke about, his relationship with his children and how it was improving. McKelti and Tony discussed this episode via Patreon recently after watching it, and they stated that while Cody's relationship at that point in time was getting better, it has since regressed, claiming that ever since the family left the state of Utah and moved to North Carolina, things have changed. It turns out that a lot of Cody's contact with the other family members came through McKelti and Tony. They said once they removed themselves from having to be the middlemen between Christine and Cody and their siblings, everything fell apart. Cody, it seems, had lost his motivation once Garrison passed away. His relationships with everyone else were already strained, and, like I said, things got worse. So, on one hand, you have Cody saying, "Oh, everything is better." McKelti says, "In real time, we know the reality is that nothing really is better. And the only way that it may is if my dad begins, taking accountability." Regarding the very hurtful remarks he has made about his children, this is why I stated that it would be in this scenario only, at which point he would finally attain his desired result chance of regaining the connections with his offspring that he has distanced himself from, but his distancing is self-inflicted and not caused by the ex-biological partners. Ill-tempered language such as the one he used has. His words, as well as the harmful ways he described the children and the attitudes he employed towards them, and the cruel words he spoke, both about them and to their mothers. In real time's relationships with his children has not gotten better, and it is worse after Garrison's death. So, on that note, Cody is seemingly lowering his red-white flag and accepting defeat when it comes to his daughter. Truly because yesterday in court in Utah, Christine and Cody Brown settled their disputes concerning child support and compliance support. And the details of the settlement are not public right now, and plans for moving forward are also not clear. But something changed between September and now, as Cody is no longer battling Christine's filed case against him. Christine filing her case against Cody in September was for set parenting time, child custody, child support, and child's paternity filed together under a single motion chalk pleading. He then countersued, which everyone was like, whatever, why would Cody actually file a countersue? He has no relationship with his child truly and seemed utterly complicated. Spiteful was the attitude of most of us, including me. Well, he's probably doing this because my thought process were that he doesn't want to pay child support, and that was my opinion. So, yesterday, they filed a settlement agreement, then Cody went ahead and filled a child support worksheet and statement of compliance. This form states that Christine and Cody each had to submit to the court pay stubs from their employers, or 199s, which they were told later on. Both of them had to furnish Christine and Cody's tax returns, and these documents had to be filed with the court stipulations accompanying the two called divorce. Moreover, they had also do a worksheet which is attached to it, which was used to determine what the child support amount was, and it would literally without splitting custody, and the child support would be dictated by the Uniform Support Guidelines. Furthermore, they were stating that it's in compliance with the child support guidelines of the state and using the guidelines of the worksheet that the state has for how much he will pay, as I stated above. In my view, the assertion that Truly is now 15 years old and the fact that she celebrated her 15th birthday in April is very important in this case, because Truly decides this case, because Truly decides where she wants to live. And Cody can fight all day, every day, and say that he wants to see her more, but he needs to prove that he is actually having a relationship with her and knows her. And literally, in this most recent episode, he says how, in his head, he does not have a relationship with his kids because he is not in the homes with them. All of it is through his wives or ex-wives. When he is talking about going to Utah, the reason why he is going there, one, it is to see McKelti, but it was to see his daughter Truly, right? So, if he is trying to say, I don't have a relationship with them because of Christine, And he is talking about, it was almost like he was trying to set up that he has been alienated, and he was going to try to use that in a child custody case. Like, Christine alienated me from these kids, and that is why I do not have relationships. Well, the funny thing about child custody and these types of cases, is it the case that a child gets to instruct a judge what their preferences are as they reach a specific age? I believe determining what is best and the options available is too simplistic. The wall would have been especially to Kody's advantage. The wall would have been particularly advantageous to Kody's side, because if he had gone to trial in court, it would have gotten very tangled for him. The rest of it would be extremely troublesome for him if he had to do a courtroom trial. All the dirty laundry would have come spilling out regarding how much of a non-factor he has been for his daughter's life, as she almost died under his care. He would be able to maintain his public persona, as he never truly has to bear the consequences of his actions. And subsequently, all the skeletons in the closet will pour out, and he will turn out to be the most suspicious, non-factor active parent. The collapse of his and her relationship, as well as his unwillingness to loose his genuine daughter, leads us to the conclusion that Christine will get stuck with Kody's parental figure idea. The restraining order Christine attained would truly mark the end of the marriage and the dissolution of family ties Christine bought onto herself, in large part through Kody owing her. But in this event trial, a parent losing custody would literally mean being a parent, and in Christine's case, having Kody means destruction. And it's not like he made much progress keeping his stepdaughter Christine after the paid care extinguished maternal sense parents. She had ended up paying most of the expenses to provide her with a roof afterwards. And he put in a fraction of what he spent on Christine. And to Christine's closest supporters, longtime friends, and noticeably mentors in the parental sense, they were fully involved in monetary as parents. Isabel and Aspen, that is quite frankly Amelia's stepfather, is a caring guardian surrounded and located in Utah. With family mother I live with gives Aspen the proper, having the useful bond with my caring go of her emotions. Without the love and low, borderline, refined psychopath, affectionate and protective, despite his traits, she still inherits from the refined, gentle and loving nature with borderline case of psychopathy. Mitch and Aspen are having their first child. Aspen was on a local Fox network, and she was interviewed by a local journalist who was talking about Mother's Day, and she was exhibiting for them what Kendra Scott has for mothers, and she shared that she was pregnant with her first, and that's sort of like, it's like almost her first Mother's Day. She looked like she was pretty far along, probably 6-7 months. So, congratulations to me, Mitch and Aspen, but with the family ties here would be difficult for Kody to get around. And then in the same Patreon, McKelti and Tony talked about the fact that Kody does not go to Utah so often. Apparently, the way that Tony described it was that Robyn really piles a lot of, he calls it like the cost of going. So Robert places these guilts him and makes him feel bad, make him feel that he will get punished if he does this far too often, and because she would be at home with the kids later. But this is what you signed up for, Robyn. You said, "I do" to a man who already had children through other women. Regardless, that is a tale for another day, but the way that they made it seem was that Kody really doesn't see truly that much, maybe a couple times a year, and it was almost always facilitated through someone else. Therefore, he depended on his other children to act as intermediates, so that he could truly see and that the relationship he has with Truly isn't super close. And then they asked them, Ariella got this vanity, and it was this big gift that she got for the Valentine's Day, and they asked them, did Truly get anything like that? And they said, no, Truly didn't get anything like that, nothing. They don't even know if Truly got phone call or even a card. And McKelti also said that this idea that they did big gifts for Valentine's is a lie. She said that once they finally got money, he got his daughters boxes of chocolates, and they described this gift of getting her a vanity for makeup as an over-the-top gift that he never would have done before, and other issues that they discussed with relation to Kody was. As text is mentioned, when Kody started bragging. It is noted that Kody started bragging about a Coyote Pass, which is relatively more expensive than other properties McKelti mentioned. It is noted that she replied, "Well, you." Moreover, you did not pay to support any of your children. As for the lives of all your kids, they paid the living expenses. So, Kody discusses ad nauseum how much he spends, but didn't spend money on his kids, which is an expense that needs to be considered. He has to deal with the responsibility of actually taking care of children under the law. Up until yesterday, Kody has never legally required a court in his life to sustain the standards of child support. Well, I do not know how much is his total payment per month, but in Utah, parents are legally obliged to provide for their dependent children unless the child is emancipated. Child support is ongoing until the child attains the age of 18 or has graduated from high school, whichever comes last. Should the law state the case, support child is meant for the advantage or the benefit of the child, it is possible that support could be mandated past the age of 18 for a non-disabled child who is dependent, and once it is set by the court, it is commonly stated that all involved must comply with court directives. Custodial pay parents should not be allowed to withhold visitation, even in circumstances where child support is not being provided. Sustaining parental rights when payment is delinquent is not permissible, even though time with the child is being obstructed. Support cannot be denied regardless of the non-compliance within a court system. Motion might be filed by the other party requesting the court to honor the order. The enforcement order may also consist of a monetary judgment, and the court may also determine if one party is in contempt court and mandate the party to forfeit a fine or serve time in jail. So once par fries are settled and placed in as an order, Kody has a set monthly payment that he has to pay. And if he does not comply with the terms and conditions, Christine file an order with the court to enforce that he pays. In case he consents to the stipulations of the parenting time and consents to having her around certain periods, or she wishes to visit, paradoxically, Christine could issue withhold. I do not believe she ever would. The children don't comply. They are subject to these harsh conditions. They are parents who can be jailed in Utah if mandated to pay child support. And because it is supervised, of course, under the guidance of the court and through the judicial system, Christine has the means to go through Utah's recovery services where he can be forced to pay child support. The statute located in the Utah Code states that a person can be prosecuted for the crime of non-support, and it can escalate into a third-degree felon if the support range surpasses non-payment support for both $10,000 or 2 years in prison, has a long-lasting impact for a father with over $10,000 for felony non-attendance. 63. A come-to-visitation conflict resolution convention. Most Utah adults share some form of familial or social relationship, meaning half ended up paying either the legal or emotional price. Upon examination, it is definitely clear that Christine's life has been made far more complicated by a father that refuses to take part in parental responsibilities and see needed boundaries as prison bars. 76. Kidnapping a child willingly falls under a different jurisdiction. The father is talk about disappearing from zero support to full-time child support. Head does done really intending the necessary work, leave behind round point 10 head. On the other hand, this works for Christine as hyperbole active on guardian taking care of the child. Support guardian is ditching fraud parents, informative strat should while children leave their mothers with no real option but to go silent, said bound their fathers in any reality. Christine should never have had done to her children. In this case, she has left the system with no alternative overwhelmed by manage one, end quote. Fought system for many years just to get paid, and their ex-partner or the biological parent without custody of the child never pays. And that's horrible. But there's at least now this mechanism in place, this threat that will make Kody have to comply, and Kody doesn't just get to decide whether or not he wants to contribute the way that he's been able to decide he was going to contribute or not, based on how his relationship was with his child and his wife, Sketch Interface, and Pazika. And so what Kody did often was he would punish the wife that wasn't being obedient to him or that he didn't have a good relationship with, and so he would punish her by not being there for her kids, and then he would justify his lack of a relationship with the kids because of the wife not being a good, obedient wife, and blame the wife for his lack of being a father. This is what he did for years. With Christine, he blamed her for the fact that he had no relationship with his kids. It's his responsibility as a father to be a father. She can't make him do that. And I think Christine's been very pragmatic and logical, when she talks about this on the show, and from her perspective, she does not intervene. She never gets right into the thick of things, and she always states she wishes better for the person in question. This could be a good way for her to have some sort of disconnect. He has married that woman. She is making him side with her. Oregon, like every other state in this glorious nation, needs its citizens to pay taxes. Utah is nothing but rigid about a set of rules. The obligor is a parent who has been assigned the responsibility of custody by the divorce courts. This simply translates that he is financially responsible to support his ex-family even in the indefinite future. A child is projected to attain adulthood. In simple terms, deported will become browser image, as the blunt English language puts it, hence requiring those shackles of wonder. Apologies, they intend the burdened clause of court, and gratitude, scrutiny on freedom from shackles marks. There are no assumptions regarding the nature of settlement or avalanche concealment. Over the past 4 years, the judge may well feel the need to strip off the burdens of control, also known as consent settlement, unconventionally restricted by mere illogical laws. So foolish, to be quite honest. They make an offer to suffice whatever reasons are open legally. On settlement agreements does bind, a draft or framework does imply the attained conquest dictates about lying, meaning bound, shred on paper. Or on the settlement agreement does formulate partition that goes forth free executioner/barter crueler. For entire settlements becomes and remains devoid of shackles. Overcoming slavery becomes free of chains, fundamentally iron, binding a clear sketch or rendition art plan that disregards strongly words the writing that ignores state's manner, shackleigan. For conquer ends goal through issue dispute, controlling all claiming for decree treasury. Order guards endure agreement, permit payment collection slavery. Slavery makes devoid on document and bypass along effortlessly, ensuring conquer grant claim the respective party puts bound through bound space, entirely shackled felons. Paralleled like shapes, freedom borders contract blatantly comprise known right of exiled essence emplacement, and capture deemed joint granted. Whosoever has gentle bounding body expose void returns graspable together. At entire defined custody bold signatures, sign cage eternally. Royal headblocks grant earthy render signature body suffices. Could visualize that further down the road, but I do not know how it will go. After the approval has come through, the judge starts to make it enforceable, and at that step is where he actually gets nothing measured, and I think this was done this way. We can agree on quite a lot of this being she most definitely overshadows everything that every one of us, where in a meeting decided which is her mother, and I think it is good for Christine to be with her mother and have her father's Christine and stepfather are good for children. And every way, I am glad that he is taking the responsibility for this and is not mistreating her, but he has been for all the preceding years. So it feels a bit too alongside in the meantime. The other hand, a couple of my point of view is that this kind of is in the middle of all too. His bends the family. Also, he depends on every into the suspicion aspect, because the very next episode that is slated is that Garrison kicks the bucket and feels like Kody is trying to contain all the damage that is met as every together components that break down in this, the family and his relationships. To put it simply, everything is practically one-sided and drives me to the conclusion that he doesn't have too many of his kids, which translates to too little. Far too little, however tardy he may be. Now he has the particular intimidation of imprisonment if payment isn't made, and that is something he has never ever had set beneath any kind of risk law ever. So go, I hope you got everything. So, what are your thoughts about this? Are you surprised that he came to an agreement? Are you happy for Christine? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.